So I want to introduce Vance Dennis, who actually did the hard work of carrying the legislation. Vance, come on up. Thank you.
Been a great honor and privilege to carry this bill in the House. We have one of the greatest civil justice systems, if not the greatest system in the world here in the United States and here in Tennessee. Over the last few years, over the last few decades, it's gotten a bit expensive and a bit inefficient. We're at the point where less than 50% of our expenditures on our civil justice system go towards actually compensating victims instead of, that's just too inefficient for the world that we live in here today. Can you imagine the situation we'd be in if we had less than 50% of our highway funds going towards actual roads, less than 50% of our healthcare funds going towards actual patient care? It's a system that's unsustainable. This bill will help to correct that. This will move us more towards a more effective and more efficient system that allows businesses and individuals across the state to quantify their risk, and at the same time ensuring that those victims who are wronged are adequately compensated. I appreciate the opportunity to work on the bill, and I will now turn the floor over to Senator, former Representative Kelsey.
The Civil Justice Act will provide the predictability that businesses need to grow the economy in Tennessee. And along with our efforts, and along with our laws on right to work, along with our efforts to increase an educated workforce, and along with our low taxes in Tennessee, tort reform is an integral piece of growing the economy in Tennessee. I actually first ran for tort reform in my very first race for the legislature back in 2004, and since then have been proud to work with our allies to convince legislators that this is an issue that we needed to take on, and to help elect new legislators who believe in the cause, like Representative Dennis. And so I've been waiting 7 years for this day, and I'm very proud to be a part of it today. And I just want to thank Governor Haslam for taking on this issue as one of his 3 signature pieces of legislation this year. I want to thank the leadership of the House, of Speaker Harwell, of Majority Leader McCormick, and of Representative Vance Dennis for all of your work. And I want to thank the leadership in the Senate as well, that of Lieutenant Governor Ron Ramsey, and of our Senate Majority Leader, whom I'm here to introduce to you today, Mark Norris.
I appreciate your kind words, and I'm simply here to introduce Governor Haslam. I'm introducing Governor Haslam to just by way of turning the podium over. Everything that can be said has been summarized pretty succinctly here. I was going to say 10. 10 years is the length of time we've toiled in this vineyard to bring real, true tort reform to the state of Tennessee. And it wasn't until Governor Haslam came along with his vision and his focus that we were able to get it across the line. Senator Kelsey touched adequately and eloquently on the reforms that this administration has brought forward in a very short period of time. And I said yesterday at a bill signing ceremony on charter schools that history will reflect the reforms that were made at this time in this place by this governor, and what a difference they have made. Tort reform not the least among them. Governor Haslam, we all join in thanking you, and I welcome you to do the task of making this official. Thank you.
To be surrounded by so many people who worked hard to make this happen. Speaker, thank you very much for being with us. I was with the Lieutenant Governor this morning, and he regrets he couldn't be with us, but I do want to recognize Senator Jack Johnson, Senator Jim Tracy, there's Jim, Senator Kerry Roberts, Senator May Beavers is here, Senator Bill Ketron, Representative Jim Gatto, Representative Sheila Butt, Representative Bill Dunn is behind me, Representative Charles Sargent is here in his trademark voice. Representative Ryan, sometimes his opponents accuse him and say, you just talk that way so we can't understand. Well, we don't think that's true. Representative Ryan Haynes, Representative Steve McDaniel, Representative Jeremy Faison, and Representative Deborah Macker is here as well. I want to maybe give a special thanks to these bill sponsors, who the four of them you just heard speak. They did great work on what's a really hard issue. I didn't spend a whole lot of time during the legislative session watching what happened on the floor. Sometimes went on for a while and had some other things to do, but I actually did watch the debate on both of these issues, and I particularly one time spent about really a couple hours watching the debate in the Senate. And I thought it was a really healthy, strong debate that brought out the issues and how difficult this is. If this was an easy thing to do, it would have happened before, quite frankly. But I think this time we had a group of people who were very concentrated and committed to getting it right. Now, we had a lot of allies working with us, a lot of whom are sitting with us today, and I won't start going through the list. But I think it was important. We wanted to make sure that we did everything we could to protect victims' rights, but also to have a predictable playing field for businesses. It was interesting. I was with a group of CEOs. Commissioner Haggard and I were recruiting a group of people. We had about 12 CEOs for dinner. And it made me feel great about our legislative session, because we're with 12 businessmen and women. Within 10 minutes, the conversation turned to two topics: education and tort reform as ways to encourage the growth of business in Tennessee. These were all folks who didn't have business in Tennessee, but we were trying to encourage to be here. Unbidden by us, those were the two things that our dinner time conversation turned to. And because of that, I want to thank you. I think we're not just talking about providing a better business environment in Tennessee, it's happening. Before we sign this, I want to give a special thanks to two people who worked incredibly on this. Herbert Slattery has been a friend of mine for a long time, but is now our legal counsel. And he took this on in a sense, in a way that I can't imagine it being handled better. At times, I would go by his argument, and people on both sides of the issue were giving him a strong piece of their mind. But he kept coming back to what's the right thing to do. And I think that's a reflection. And Ashley Harb, his assistant. We will sign this and make this official law. Thank you very much.